Hello, and welcome to Embrace Her Evolution. This podcast celebrates the limitless power within every woman. I'll be your host, Amanda Aguilar. I'm an Emmy Award-winning TV news reporter, an empowerment speaker, a mental health advocate, and your biggest cheerleader. Together, we'll embrace the twists and turns of life, from personal growth to relationships, career aspirations, and everything in between. If you're trying to level up, if you're ready to rediscover that confidence you lost, if you want to learn how to create a life you love and deserve, then stick around. Embrace Her Evolution will give you the insight and tools to bridge the gap between knowing better and doing better. I am so excited to join you on this incredible journey. So buckle up, babe. It is time to embrace your evolution. Well, it has been quite some time, but hello and welcome back to Embrace Her Evolution. Y'all, I hella fell off from the podcast. I'm not even gonna lie. I fell off so bad, and I put the podcast in the backseat. I'm not even gonna front, but I'm here. I'm excited to be back, and I'm excited to freaking be back behind this mic recording this episode, because the last time I recorded an episode was back in January, and then I released it. And then after that, life just became super hectic, because if there's one thing life gon' do, is gon' life. So for those that don't know, I'm a full-time news reporter. And so March was just super busy at work, and then kind of in my personal life as well. In California, we had primary elections. So election coverage is always huge at news stations. And then after that, I went to LA for after the Oscars. My station sent me there. Kelly Ripa, Mark Consuelos, they hold this after the Oscars show, literally just hours after the Academy Awards. So I got to go to that show. I got to interview them. They are the cutest couple. Like, they're just so adorable, hella funny too. So that was a really cool experience. And then came back to Fresno, and my station works with the local children's hospital here, Valley Children's Hospital, and we work with them for this annual fundraiser. And so I was a big part of that. So I was busy with that coverage. And then literally I went right back to LA for my homegirl Asia's last hurrah in America, because she's now living her digital nomad life. Period, sis. I'm so proud of her. So we celebrated at Rolling Loud. If you are not familiar with Rolling Loud, it is a hip hop music festival. Mind you, 3 days. A 3-day festival, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And we went all 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then Monday, that's where I got the Monday. Monday, we went to Disneyland. So that took so much energy out of me. The whole month of March friggin' took hella energy out of me. So April, I'm really just trying to decompress and re-energize because I freaking need it, okay? I deserve it. And not just because of the month of March, but a lot of things have been happening behind the scene, guys. I can't share it just yet, but I can't wait to share it when I am ready. Because, yeah, there's a lot of things are happening. 2024, it's just... oh my gosh, it is a season of transformation. That is all I will tell you right now. I feel like I'm this freaking caterpillar in a freaking cocoon. Like, that's 2023, that's what I felt like, a caterpillar just in this damn cocoon doing all this hard inner work, crying, just being so freaking uncomfortable and not knowing what the heck is on the other side of this cocoon when I freaking burst out. But 2024, I know it. This is the year I'm about to bust out that motherfucking cocoon into this gorgeous little butterfly. And yeah, I'm excited. There's a lot of changes happening. One of them, if you didn't look at the episode title, but yeah, I'm single. Yes, I am single. I think in the last episode, I told y'all I was entering this new season of my life. And I didn't really expand off that. But yeah, when I recorded that last episode, I was already about a month into my breakup. I didn't mention anything in the episode because I was honestly a month into it. I was still processing everything, but I knew I wanted to share eventually with y'all because this is a part of my evolution, right? And I wanted to share, but obviously on my own terms and in my own way. And let me tell you, I did that. I did just that back in February on my Instagram. In February I posted a picture of myself. Mind you, it was a freaking fire pic. Shout out to my girl Megan at 4% Photo if you want to follow her on Instagram. She is just amazing, takes always amazing pictures. But, anyways, I posted this picture that she took of me at this Galentine's event that I always go to for the past 3 years. And essentially, this photo was a hard launch of my single season. Like, I'm pretty sure, yeah, that was my caption. I think it said, "This is my hard launch of my single season." Because honestly, like, why do relationships only get hard launches? I freaking wanted to hard launch my single season, so that's what I freaking did. But I think the post caught a lot of people off guard because I got a lot of messages, DMs, like, what? Single? What? But yeah, it's been a little more than 3 months since Gabe and I parted ways. And I'm not going to go into the reasons on why we decided to split because I just want to keep that between us. I want that to be private. But I will share that it was a mutual decision and it was a healthy breakup. That is the first time I've ever experienced a split like that. I'm sure most of us can relate to like ghosting or just a very unhealthy, explosive, freaking dramatic end to a relationship. So I'm honestly really grateful that Gabe and I have the emotional maturity to end our relationship in that kind of way. But what I'm not going to do is sit here and record this damn episode and tell y'all that it was easy because it was healthy and mutual. I'm not going to do that because I was and I still am grieving. But the way I'm handling this grief is so different, which is why it just feels so foreign to me. It feels so foreign to me, y'all, that I was about to call my therapist for an emergency session because it was just so odd to me the way that I was handling it, the way that I felt, the way that I was acting, because I usually spiral into this like depression, really bad depression, anytime a guy breaks up with me or like leaves me. But that is not the case. And that was just like, I was freaking concerned. I was like, what the hell? But yeah, it's definitely been a different process, this grieving process. I want to use the word beautiful to describe this grieving process. I never thought I would use that kind of adjective, beautiful. Beautiful to describe a grieving process, but it really has. It's been such a beautiful grieving process because this is the first time I'm grieving with grace. So, in this episode, I'm going to share the 5 main ways I've been able to grieve with grace. So, hopefully, the next time you're grieving something, you'll be able to apply these tools as you go about a very normal process. I will say, and I've said this to my friends that I've talked to about the breakup. I wish this type of breakup on every woman, every man. I wish it on everyone because let's be honest, not every relationship, marriage, whatever is going to last, even the healthy ones, right? And I never thought a breakup like this and a grieving process like this was possible. And so this is why I wanted to record this episode because I want to share this insight, this knowledge with you, my experience, so you can then experience it, if you ever, when you start to experience the loss of someone, a breakup, when you're going through that grieving process, because I, I can't even explain it. I just wish this on everyone. And we really do have to remember that grief is it's normal. It's literally a normal response to the loss of something. And when we think of grief, yes, it is, the loss of a loved one, the loss of a relationship, a breakup, but it also can be the loss of a friendship, maybe the loss of a job. Oh, the loss of an identity. That's a huge one because when you're evolving, you have to grieve your past identity to fully step into your new one. Like, in order to truly step into your new chapter of life, you have to grieve that old chapter. And it's normal to do that. And there are ways to approach that grieving process again with grace. So for me, one of the ways I've been able to do that was by knowing the stages of grief. There are stages of grief. I didn't know this about like 4 years ago, but yes, there are stages of grief. And now that I know them, I'm able to be mindful about the feelings that are going to pop up during this process. And I'm able to then give myself what I need when I'm feeling those feelings. So I'm going to go over what those stages are, and then we'll get into it a little more. So first, there's denial. This is when you just haven't wrapped your head around the loss. You might even be pretending the loss didn't happen. For example, if it's like a breakup, maybe you're like, oh my gosh, like we're just in a really, really huge fight. Like this is probably the biggest fight we've ever had, but tomorrow we're going to make up. He's going to call me back. Like everything's going to be fine. Denial. The next stage is anger. And this could be towards the person, this could be towards a situation, or it could even be toward yourself. Remember, I said grief can come after the loss of a job. So maybe the anger comes, you get fired, and maybe you're like, ugh, I freaking hate her. Like, she's an awful boss. I hope her new project fails. Anger. But something I learned in this breakup is that anger can also show up as bitterness because let me tell you, Valentine's Day, I felt some type of way. I was hella bitter. I'm not going to lie, when I saw couples posting. Now, the next stage is bargaining. This is when you are really struggling to accept the loss, that you start to kind of make deals with yourself, or even God, if you're religious. You start asking those what if questions. Oh, if only I called her, she would still be here. Or God, if I do this, can you bring her back? Like that's when you're starting to bargaining. You're making those deals, right? The fourth stage is depression. This is that sadness that we feel after a loss. And this pain can get very, very intense for people. You might think, oh my gosh, I don't know how to go through life without them, or they're not in my life. I have nothing going on for me anymore. Now, the last stage is acceptance. This is when the pain eases. I don't want to say you're over the loss, but there's this acceptance, there's this understanding that yeah, life is going to look different. Now, the grief process is going to look different for everyone. So, what may be a really difficult stage for one person, it might be a little easier for someone else. And I think it's important to note as well that these stages, yeah, they don't go in order. So, you can't really anticipate the order of what feelings are going to come, because sometimes it could be anger that's first. Sometimes then it will be sadness. And then sometimes you might go back to anger. Like it could be this, ping pong tournament, anger, sadness. It just depends on the person and the situation. I can't even tell you how long a stage will last. Again, it's all about the person. Sadness can last for a month for someone. And then, bargaining is 2 weeks. Like it just depends. Now, I will say that this has been a game changer knowing these stages, because understanding the stages allow you to anticipate the feelings and then figure out ways to give yourself what you need during that time. So, right now I'm going to break down what it looked like before I knew the stages of grief and then after. So when I wasn't aware of the stages of grief, I honestly just believed that the depression I was feeling wasn't normal and that it was going to last forever. And for me, sadness, I feel sadness in a really big way. Like, sadness is a feeling that is very, very intense for me. And before, I also didn't know how to regulate my emotions. I could not handle a very big emotion, old Amanda. I do want to say trigger warning suicide. I remember when I was going through a breakup in high school and I felt like my whole world was just crumbling beneath me slowly. I already didn't have a good relationship with my parents, and then this person who I really cared about didn't want to be in my life anymore. And I was just like, what is the point? What is the point of life? Like, I felt my life had no purpose, and I attempted to take my own life. Obviously, that was a failed suicide attempt. Wow, I don't think I've ever said that out loud. I don't think I've ever shared that with anyone. Yeah, looking back, there's obviously a reason why I'm still here, right? Because I'm using my journey. I'm using this podcast to help myself heal, but obviously to help others heal as well. But going back to when I was in high school in that situation, like I said, I didn't know that grief came with depression. I didn't think it was normal, and I didn't think that it was temporary. Okay, because it is temporary. I tried to escape. I tried to escape that sadness, but in reality, you have to feel to heal. And fast forward to now, when Gabe and I broke up, I already knew what feelings were going to come up. And y'all, I was prepared. Be prepared. Like, I was so prepared. I have never felt so prepared. Like, compare that to when I went into school for exams. I did not feel prepared. But here, this breakup, y'all, I was ready. I was ready. Go ahead, give me that motherfucking Scantron, okay? I was prepared. But personally, I knew that sadness is always what hits first, and it hits hard. Okay, it hits really hard. I said it, it's very intense for me. So knowing that already, I knew I had to give myself all the time I needed to just freaking cry it out. I also knew that I wanted to be alone. So I remember texting my girls actually and letting them know I was going to be MIA. Like, I think I told them, I just wanted to let y'all know. Gabe and I mutually decided to continue a friendship, not a relationship. We ended on good terms. I'm happy, but I still need time to grieve. So I might not respond as fast or even at all, but I just want to let you guys know I'm alive. I'm just taking my time to process everything. And that's what I did. Every day after work, I came home, gave myself the space and grace to just let those tears flow, baby. And I think moving on to the second, maybe third week of the breakup, yeah. I actually freaking called Gabe, and I called him and I was like, I think we made a mistake. I think we made a mistake. What if we made a mistake? What if we can get through this? Maybe if we do this, I can do this. And if you do this, like, we can still be together. Like, we can make this work. What stage is that, y'all? What stage is that? Bargaining. Bargaining. Obviously, when I called him, I didn't put two and two together, but I quickly, my self awareness is really good. So I was able to catch myself and I was like, oh, wait. Oh, wait. Here's that bargaining that's about to come. Yeah, I'm in that right now. Dang it. So I will say Gabe was like, Gabe was like, Amanda, we are sticking to our decision. There's a reason, why we broke up. God bless Gabe. You know that. But yeah, we ended up getting off the phone, and I had to take a step back, and what I needed at that time in that stage of bargaining, I just had to journal all my thoughts. I journaled all my thoughts, but I also wrote down why we both decided to part ways, because there was a reason. We both had a reason, and in order to accept this new reality of mine, I had to write down why we broke up, but I also wrote down the benefits of being single, and so it really helped writing that down, because when I was bargaining, I was essentially arguing with my new reality, and when you're arguing with a decision you already made, you're basically telling yourself, you can't be trusted. Like, I can't trust you. And I am already working through a lot of self trust issues. So I had to remind myself, and I was able to do that with the journaling, that Amanda, you know what is best for you. You always know what's best for you. The next way I have been showing myself grace while grieving really goes hand in hand with knowing the stages of grief, and that is facing your emotions. Facing your freaking emotions. If you listen to the last episode, or if you follow me on social media, you know I was not a huge fan of facing my emotions, which is why I turned to alcohol, because alcohol let me avoid doing all of that. But as you all know, I've shared this as well. I'm on a freaking sober journey. And let me just shout out me. More than a year sober. I think more than 480 days sober. So, period. We love it. So, anyways, back to the podcast. I'm on a sober journey. So, this time around, I could not use alcohol to numb my feelings, because let me tell you, I was for sure that girl who would go to the club after I got broken up with, or found out some guy was doing me dirty. I'd go to the club, get hella drunk, flirt with hella guys, just to avoid feeling sad after said breakup. And if you remember in episode 6, if you haven't listened to episode 6, you should do it now. No, well, not now, after this, excuse me. But in episode 6, I said that drinking to avoid feeling my feelings just prevented myself from truly healing, which is why every freaking breakup just felt worse than the one prior, because I just kept freaking suppressing all my feelings. So after my breakup with Gabe, I was like, Amanda, you is going to feel all your feelings. You are not going to drink to avoid the pain. And that's what I freaking did. That is what I freaking did. I told y'all, first week, I freaking just cried. Like, I cleared out my schedule that week, because I knew the plans, I would use plans as like a distraction from sadness. So I made sure my schedule was clear. And I cried when I woke up. I would do my hair, do my makeup for work, and then I'd cry kind of in the car because I was wearing makeup. I didn't want to ruin it, and then shed a few tears in between my morning live shots. I would do work, and then once I was done with work, I'd get in the car and just cry and drive home. And then once I got into my apartment, I'd just cry again. And I'm talking about hyperventilating cry, like Kim Kardashian cry. Like it was very, very intense. And that was the first week of the breakup. It was tough. It was definitely tough, but my body felt like this huge, huge release. And I feel like it's important that I share that with y'all, that crying was a release, because it is so important to feel your feelings, because the more you avoid and resist those feelings, baby, that shit is gonna come back stronger than ever. Like, truly. In order to move forward from the breakup, like, I really had to give myself a chance to feel my feelings and process the relationship. You have to grieve, you have to cry, you have to feel your feelings to create closure for yourself. We always think that closure comes from outside, it comes from others, but it comes from within. Closure is that peaceful acceptance that you give yourself. It's that acceptance that what's for you won't miss you and that life is going to look different, and that's okay. It's gonna be okay. Obviously, as I've shared earlier, the grief process comes with a whole lot of other emotions. So, trust me, it wasn't just sadness that I was feeling. I said Valentine's Day, I was very angry and bitter. I knew heading into Valentine's Day, I was gonna be bitter because I had no gift. I had no one to give me a gift. So I was like, F that. I'm not gonna wait for no man to give me no gift. I'm gonna freaking treat myself. And treat myself is what I did. I bought myself a Valentine's Day taco box and a Pizza Heart. Treated myself to that. And then I started, oh my God. And then I was eating that. And then I started scrolling on social media, seeing all the Valentine's Day posts. And I was just getting hella bitter. So I was like, all right, get off your phone. And it just wasn't the sadness, the anger, the bitterness. Like I was experiencing many emotions multiple times. Because remember, I said you can feel it multiple times. So sadness popped up several times. It'd pop up when I think of a memory, or maybe I heard a song that reminded me of Gabe. But I would just let myself be sad. I would let myself be sad. If I needed to cry, I'd cry. And then a few minutes later, I'm not even kidding, like I'd be good and I'd move on with what I was already doing. I remember learning about a study that shows emotions usually only last about 90 seconds. They only last about 90 seconds if you truly feel it. And then after that 90 seconds, any remaining emotional response is just you choosing to stay in that emotional loop. I'm sure my friends are very impressed with how I've been handling this breakup because I spiral, y'all. Like my depression stage lasts so long, and I'm talking like months of that hyperventilating crying, that crying to bed, crying when you wake up. Like, oh my gosh, I do not miss that. But that was my reality before, I started grieving with grace and feeling my emotions. But I will tell you, the first week of the breakup, that was the only time I hyperventilated crying. And so I'm actually very impressed with myself that the months after, there has not been any time where I'm crying that hard, where I'm like freaking out of breath, where I'm like, like that was just the first week. And I really believe it's because I just spent that whole week letting everything out. Like I just chose to feel my feelings. And that's why when I am feeling sad, it's not that intense feeling anymore, which leads me to my next point. Clean pain versus dirty pain. Huge game changer. I can't speak for everyone, but I'm sure most of us experience dirty pain when it comes to a breakup. Like I definitely used to. So here's the difference between clean pain, dirty pain. Clean pain is something you have to experience. It's inevitable. It's normal. It's all those stages of grief that I told you about. It's all of that. You're going to feel all of it because you're human. Like we're human. We have feelings. When you lose someone you love, hello. Of course we're going to be sad. Of course we're going to cry. We're human. That's clean pain. It's normal. It's a part of the grieving process. Dirty pain. Dirty pain is optional. Dirty pain is unnecessary. Dirty pain is the pain you create. Yeah, you are the drama. This pain usually comes from thoughts about a certain situation or a person. And sometimes these thoughts could be facts, sometimes they're not. But it causes you to suffer. I would always participate in dirty pain. Like every guy before Gabe, I I look back and I was the drama. I was a drama. I caused my own suffering. One way I did that was I was constantly questioning my worth. And at the time, I didn't even know my worth, but I was doing it in this way of I was going on the social media of the girl the guy left me for, and I would just be like, oh, like, why is she better than me? Or, oh my God, she's so much prettier than me. Or like, ooh, she does this. That's probably why he left me and he wants her. Like, I would even send my girls like the social media, their IG, and be like, what do you think she has that I don't have? Like, what do you think? Amanda, like that I chose to put myself through that suffering. Oh my gosh. So this just popped up in my head. I remember a time, this is an example. I remember a time I was talking to a guy, and I don't know, this was like 2013. I just graduated college. Things were going great. Like things were really going great. We even bought each other Christmas gifts. By the way, last time I ever camp in line for shoes, like it was a very meaningful Christmas gift that he gave me. Like things were really good. And then his energy just hella freaking shifted. He just started getting hella distant. Like, I'm talking, I would sleep over at his apartment like 3 days of the week and then on the weekends. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, I don't know if you can come over. It was just energy changed. And I confronted him about it, not in a healthy way because I didn't know how to communicate in a healthy way back then. And I remember he was like, this is such a turn off. Like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. And it ended. And I was so sad, so hurt. But what did Amanda do? She made a fake Instagram to stalk a girl who I basically believed this is the girl that he started gaining interest in. How did I find her? How did I, assume that? Well, this is when Snapchat had those top friends, so she was his top friend. And so I found her on Instagram and I made a freaking fake Instagram and followed her. And every day, oh my gosh, I'm like cringing just thinking of this. Every day I would look at her post to see if she was with him or if he commented on one of her pictures. And when you go looking, you're always going to find something. We know that, right? So, yeah, he commented on her pictures, and I remember feeling that like drop, the stomach drop, right? I felt so hurt, felt so betrayed. And instead of dealing with my feelings, what did I do? Amanda, me, I decided to message the girl from my own IG, not even the freaking fake Instagram that I freaking made. I decided to message her from my own Instagram to ask about her and this guy because I thought that would give me closure. Remember how I said closure comes from within, not from external sources? Yeah, well, old Amanda didn't know that. And I remember messaging her like, hey girl, I know you don't know me, but oh my gosh, I cannot believe I did that. Anyways, I was waiting for her to message me back and I was having so much anxiety. It was awful. Long story short, she never freaking messaged me back. And it just made me even more sad, even more heartbroken. But I chose to put myself through that. Like I chose to look at her social media and try to figure out why he likes her more. I chose to make that fake Instagram to try to catch him or give myself closure of like, yep, this is why he left you because he's interested in her. Like I chose all of that. I chose to put myself through that suffering. I essentially distracted myself from feeling my sadness. And I started spinning these stories of like why it ended and trying to be some FBI agent, trying to find answers about why it ended. And that just prolonged my pain. And I share that story because I know there's a lot of women out there that probably can relate to that. And I say that because social media, when you are dealing with a breakup, when you are grieving, social media stalking is dirty pain. Okay? Social media stalking is dirty pain. It does not help with the grief process. Now, fast forward to my current breakup, I have spent less time putting myself through dirty pain. And part of that is because of my healing journey. Like, I have been doing so much work when it comes to my self love, my self worth. I'm no longer questioning my worth following this breakup. I'm not like, oh my gosh, like Gabe probably doesn't want to be with me because of another girl. Like, I'm just not good enough. I'm not telling myself that. I'm not saying, oh, Amanda, if you were good enough, the relationship would have lasted. That's not going through my mind. I know I am more than enough. And just because the relationship didn't last, my worth isn't tied to the outcome of the relationship. Now, I'm not going to lie to you because, growing, healing, this is a journey. You're never healed. You're never perfect. Like, you're still going to have things to work on. And there have been times where I have had, these dirty pain thoughts. I think a lot of it comes from me just wanting to argue with my new reality or, try to place blame on Gabe or even myself. For example, I was thinking about our relationship and I had remembered one of our first conflicts. And I was like sitting there and thinking, and I was like, you know what? He probably lied. I don't think he told the truth. Like, he probably did do XYZ. He definitely lied. And I called Gabe and I started popping off at him. And I was like, "Do you remember this? Do you remember when this happened? Like, tell me the truth. Tell me the truth right now. Did you do it? Blah blah blah." Like, I was trying to just like catch him in this lie, and oh my gosh, God bless Gabe, seriously. And he, basically was like, "I didn't lie to you. What I said to you then is still the truth now." And we got off the phone and I just could feel my eyes start watering because I was just still in my head like, nope, nope, he's definitely lying to you. He's definitely lying to you. And I, was crying. Dirty pain. That is dirty pain because I was creating this story in my head instead of dealing with like the stage of grief that I was in, which is sadness. Looking back, something I would have done differently was one, when I started spinning this story in my head, I should have took a step back first and just like deep breaths. Deep breaths always help. And then really ask myself, this was something I should have journaled on. What is it that I'm truly feeling? Like, what's going on here? And then giving myself compassion, telling myself, Amanda, yeah, this is freaking hard. This is so uncomfortable. But again, these are normal emotions following a breakup. So I ask of you, when you find yourself going through that emotional pain, it's so, so helpful to stop and investigate whether the pain you're experiencing is clean or dirty. And it's important to understand as well that there's nothing wrong with experiencing clean pain. The issue is when you resist it, because that's when it can feel worse than the initial pain. Moving on to the fourth way I am grieving with grace during this breakup is I'm allowing myself to feel guilty, but not ashamed. Guilt and shame are very different. Guilt and shame are also, these are very new feelings for me when it comes to, like, I've never had to deal with this before. So I'm currently like still trying to figure everything out. But similar to clean versus dirty pain, one is inevitable, another one is optional. Now, guilt is normal. Guilt is a feeling that you did something wrong, but guilt can be helpful because you can always take steps to improve. Whereas shame is a feeling that you as a whole, as a person, are just bad. You're unworthy. You're a failure. You're inadequate. Shame gives you no way to feel positive about yourself or the situation you're in. As I mentioned, I'm still trying to figure out guilt and shame here, but for the first month of my breakup, I was definitely feeling shame. I've shared this before, but Gabe, was my first healthy relationship, my first mature relationship, I wanted a good communicator. Gabe communicated with me. I wanted someone who would take accountability. Gabe did that, and something I truly appreciate Gabe for was that he was very open to growing and improving as a person. Like we looked at self development very seriously. And so that's something that I truly love about Gabe. And that was a huge thing that I appreciated in our relationship. So when we decided to mutually end it, I started feeling some shame because I was like, Amanda, what the hell? This was such a healthy relationship and it didn't even last. Like, you're such a bad partner. Or I would think, okay, so you clearly must not be that amazing of a girlfriend because this relationship freaking failed. Like I was so ashamed that the relationship didn't work because Gabe was a good guy. I was so ashamed. But something I am getting better at is rewiring my negative thoughts. Like everything that I just said earlier, that's all negative. That's all negative thoughts. They don't help you. They don't help me at all. So what do you do when you have negative thoughts? You think of a more helpful thought. Instead of I am a bad girlfriend, my thought, what I tell myself is the outcome of my relationship doesn't define who I am as a partner. And that simple reprogramming has helped me believe you're not a failure, you're not a bad girlfriend, and it's allowed me to shift from shame to guilt. And there are things that I do feel guilty for because in no way was I perfect in this relationship, but I also know that it's okay to feel guilty. It's normal. It's a feeling. It's just that. It's a feeling and nothing more. I've also been able to practice self forgiveness and self compassion when I am feeling guilty. And I do that by constantly reminding myself that what I did or didn't do in my relationship doesn't make me a bad person. I'm not perfect. I'm gonna make mistakes. Yes, there are things I need to improve on. So, how do I do that? How do I take these lessons from my relationship and learn from them? These are things that I, will do a journal entry with. I also take the time to remind myself what I did do good in this relationship because let me tell you, a lot of the things that I did in this relationship, Old Amanda could never, okay? I expressed my emotions in a healthy way. Not all the time, but most of the time I did. Whereas before, oh my Lord, I was a super passive aggressive communicator. It was not healthy at all. It never helped when I was in a conflict with someone. But in this relationship, that is an area that I definitely improved in. I also started getting better at sharing things that triggered me. Before I was always like very quiet about it and like, oh, I don't want to stir up any trouble. I don't want to like scare him and make him leave me if I bring up my concerns. But no, with Gabe, I would bring things up that triggered me and I would be direct in terms of what I needed from him at that moment if I needed like reassurance. Honestly, acknowledging what I need to improve on makes me feel hella hopeful. Like really hopeful because in my next relationship, look, in this relationship that I was in with Gabe, I was honestly thriving as an individual and I feel like in my next relationship, I'm about to freaking thrive again. I'm about to thrive once again. And so this brings me to my final way of how I've been grieving with grace, and it deals with your mindset. I am moving through this breakup with a more abundant mindset, not a scarcity mindset. I think we all know that your mind is So freaking powerful. If you want to change your life, you have to choose to change your thoughts. And having an abundant mindset can turn what is looked at as a negative experience into a positive one. So, a scarcity mindset is the belief that there's a limited amount of what we want. And this could be a limited amount of money, time, love, connection, whatever it may be. But once we have what we want, we have to hold on to it for dear life because it could just disappear at any moment. Having a scarcity mindset leaves you feeling very stressed. It can make you envious. It can make you really angry. The abundant mindset is when you see all the opportunities that life has to offer, and there's more. There's more than enough for everyone. This leaves you feeling confident and motivated. I'm going to share two recurring thoughts I would have anytime a guy ended things with me. And this would be my scarcity mindset, right? And then I'm going to share how I turned that into the abundant mindset that I have now following this breakup. So I'm sure a lot of women, or even men, if you're listening to this, I'm sure you can relate to this. The F men. I hate men. Why are they so freaking trash? There's no good men out there. I had that thought a lot. This is the scarcity mindset that there's not enough or there's no good men out in the world. I think having this thought it's honestly dangerous, especially when you're out there dating. Now, I understand why people have it, I understand, but I think it's really dangerous because when you have this scarcity mindset, it makes you settle for less than what you deserve. It makes you forget about your standards. It causes you to put a guy on a pedestal for giving you the bare freaking minimum. We do not accept bare minimum, okay? Let me just say that. I remember I would be so impressed if a guy watched me on the news. Like if they maybe texted me and they're like, "Oh, I like your outfit," or like, "Oh, you look so cute today," or even better, if they sent me a screenshot of them watching me on TV. Oh my God, my heart, I would melt. I remember telling my friends, like, "Oh my God, he watches me on TV." Like, "Oh my gosh, he's so sweet." A supportive partner, that is a given in any relationship. Bare minimum. Okay, you see how a scarcity mindset made me so impressed over a supportive guy. That's a bare minimum, okay? But when you have a scarcity mindset, your subconscious belief is, okay, well, this isn't great, but I mean, it's good. And I honestly don't think I could do better. I don't really think there's better out there. So, yeah, I'm just going to stick with this guy. Again, not great, but it's whatever. And then you settle. And then for some reason, you're surprised when this person disappoints you. And then you go back to that cycle of, oh my God, F men, they're trash. That's how I used to be. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. Fast forward to now, I'm actually freaking excited to get back into dating. Like, I'm so excited for all the men, the good men that I'm going to meet. Obviously, when I'm ready. Side note, I am taking a heart sabbatical. I'm going to use this time. I want to try to do a year. I'll see how I feel. I'll know when I'm ready to get back into dating, but I do just want to focus on me. I want to continue that deep introspection. So I'm not going to date. I'm not going to go on dating apps. I'm not going to be in any relationship. I'm not having sex. I'm not entertaining any men. This time it's all about me, myself, and I, because I really feel that a heart sabbatical will give me the opportunity to focus on wounds and traumas that I was avoiding in my former relationship. And I feel like it will also help me improve my relationship with myself. It is so important to do that. Like, it is so important to work on your relationship with yourself, because when you are so obsessed with the relationship with yourself, you are less obsessed with the romantic relationships with others. I also think this time during my heart sabbatical, I'm going to be able to get even more clear on what I want in my next relationship. But when I'm done with that, when I'm done with the heart sabbatical, I'm super interested in what kind of men I'll attract. And I know they're gonna be top tier, okay? Big purr. And I say that because I was able to freaking attract Gabe. He was my first healthy relationship. If I can attract him, I for sure know I can attract any guy I want to manifest. And I truly believe there are so many guys out there that have what I desire in a partner. And if you're like, Amanda, tell me what your secrets are because like I want to believe that because I think all men are trash. Well, let me give you my secrets. The way I was able to switch from this scarcity to abundant mindset, boundaries, non-negotiables, and gratitude. I feel like those really made a difference. Gratitude, this will always help you see abundance in the world because you're focusing on what you have already instead of focusing on what you don't have. For me, I have a lot of guy friends. I have my group, my brothers, my brotherhood, and then I have a few guy best friends. And they're all amazing, great guys. Like I look at the guys in my brotherhood group and some of them are married, some of them are engaged, some of them are in relationships. And I look at them and, the relationships that they're in and I'm just so happy for them because we grew up together and, I've seen, who they used to be and they have grown so much into these genuine gentlemen. Like they're great guys and it makes me hopeful. It makes me see I already have great guys in my life. I can attract even more great guys. It's so important that even though you may not see what you want in your physical reality yet, know it will come to you because you're choosing when you're expressing gratitude, when you're practicing gratitude, you're telling the universe what you want is already yours. One time I was journaling, and for one of my journal entries, I was specifically doing manifestations. And I wrote the kind of partner I wanted. And I said, I don't even know how many lines I had, but it was like, I am so grateful for a partner that yada, yada, yada. I'm grateful for a partner who is da, 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 da. And I wrote this as a manifestation. And a couple months later, I got in a relationship with Gabe. I manifested him because I was already telling the universe that I'm thankful. I already have, even though I don't see the partner that I want, it's not in my physical reality yet. I know it's already mine. I know that partner that I desire is already mine. And so you have to operate from this abundant mindset, this gratitude, because law of attraction, like I truly believe this, what you put out in the universe, you will get back. Now, as I mentioned, boundaries and non-negotiables, I think that really helped me see that there are good guys out there. Boundaries, this is huge. This goes back to just me allowing men in my life who already showed me that they have F-boy tendencies, How did I attract Gabe? Boundaries. I stood firm on my boundaries and I did not change any of my non-negotiables because before Gabe, like there were guys I was getting to know before him. One guy wasn't ready for a relationship and I respect him for telling me that. Old Amanda would have been like, oh, okay, understand, and still would have like talked to him to try to convince him that he should want to be in a relationship with me because I'm the whole package, but I didn't. I knew that I wasn't about to pour my energy into someone that wasn't going to reciprocate that energy. I put that boundary in place and I think I even told him like, I appreciate you being honest with me. I would rather just, go our separate ways and not talk because I'm not going to pour my energy if you're not about to give me the same energy back. Meanwhile, there was another guy that freaking ghosted me, and old Amanda would have sent like 4 long paragraphs of like being mad at him, why he ghosted me, and then also being sad. But this time I didn't chase him because communication is so important to me. That is, you need to know how to be direct. You need to express your feelings, whether you think it's going to make me, mad or sad, whatever. That's huge for me. That's a non-negotiable. So I was able to close these doors on men. And the more you close doors on men who don't deserve your time, who don't meet your standards, the closer you get to opening a door with a guy who is willing to meet your standards. Now, I'm not going to say the first guy you freaking meet is going to meet all your standards. Like, you're never going to meet the perfect guy, right? But again, when you start opening these doors with great guys, you are going to start to see the abundance of good men out there. And the universe is not going to send them unless you're ready. Me standing firm on my boundaries, not budging my non-negotiable, I was saying, I am ready. I already know it's mine. When you're in a state of abundance, you attract opportunities, experiences, people that match that vibration that you're in. Now, another thought I had, and I know a lot of people will feel me on this. The clock is ticking, Amanda. Let's go, chop, chop. I had this mindset that I was running out of time in finding my person. And it's so easy to get caught up in this timeline. I look back and I'm pretty sure my parents, got married in their 30s, like at my age. And then also on social media, like your friends, they're getting engaged. My friends, like they're married, some are engaged, some are buying a house, they're starting a family. Like it's so easy to get caught up in a timeline, creating a timeline for yourself because you're looking at other people's timeline. Now, before I dated Gabe, like I was that single friend. I talked to a lot of guys that never got to an official relationship. So I was truly single for like 12 years. And there were so many times where I was like, okay, like, where's my guy? When is it time for my relationship? And that scarcity mindset that I had led to desperation. I was desperate as hell. Like, I let that mindset allow guys to walk all over me. I let that mindset lead me to writing long paragraphs of what a guy freaking meant to me after he already told me he doesn't want to be with me, because I thought like, oh my gosh, like I have to fight for them. I have to chase after them because this is my last chance. This is my last chance at love. But such a 180, because this time around, I'm like chilling. I'm vibing. I am right where I'm meant to be. And I truly believe I have so much time. I have so much time to find a partner. And until then, I'm going to pour all the love I want to give someone else. Yeah, I'm going to pour that into me. In order to have this abundant mindset, I really had to reframe how I viewed others' relationships. I honestly had to stop comparing couples' highlight reels to my unedited footage. Like I think that's what really caused my scarcity mindset, was I was just comparing so much. We never know what other people's relationships are truly like. That woman you follow with the hot boyfriend, like, yeah, she may look happy, but her boyfriend could treat her horribly. I learned that I needed to stop comparing someone's journey to my own. I went to church Easter Sunday. I was with my family. And if you're from the Bay Area, like you could go anywhere and sometimes it's like a freaking high school reunion. So I was at church and I saw a few people from my high school. Two were with their husband and their children, and then another was, with her husband. And I was just like, I saw them because they were kind of like in the front, to the side of me, and then even in the back. And I was like sitting in the pew in between my parents while they're with their families, their husbands, their wives, their kids. And I was like, damn, am I late to the party? Am I freaking late? Like, should I have a husband by now? Should I have kids? Like, what the heck? Now, I don't know their stories. I had to remind myself, Amanda, you don't even know their stories. Maybe she's miserable with her husband and she feels the need that she needs to stick with him because of their kids. Maybe, he's married to her because she doesn't even show him affection and he lacks the self-worth, so he just sticks with her. Like, I don't know. That's probably not the case, but again, it's none of my freaking business. I am on my own journey. I am on my own time. One of my affirmations when I first started my healing journey, and I love this affirmation so much. I trust that everything is unfolding for me in the perfect time. I trust that everything is unfolding for me in the perfect time. And if you don't believe that, I want you to look at other parts of your life. Maybe it doesn't have to be like your love life, but other parts of your life where you felt behind, where maybe you felt hopeless, and then somehow everything worked out for the best. So let me give you an example. I was job hunting back in 2021. This is when my contract was ending in Georgia. And I told all my friends, all my family, I was going to get a job in San Diego. Like, I wanted a job in San Diego. I was manifesting a job in San Diego. I was doing visualizations, trying to visualize me as a reporter in San Diego, or visualize me accepting a job offer to a station in San Diego. I was doing all these things. And at the time, there wasn't even a reporter position open in San Diego, and I just wasn't getting really any interest from news directors. I was so bummed and upset because I was just like, what the heck? I'm doing all the things. I'm visualization, I'm doing manifestation, like my affirmations are based on being a reporter in San Diego. Like that's what I wanted. I kept telling people, like, that's what I want to be. I want to be a reporter in San Diego. And it just like did not work out. But my current station ended up reaching out to me, and they really showed interest in me. And long story short, obviously, I accepted the position here. And being in Fresno in Central California, it brought me closer to my family and friends. I'm only 3 hours away, compared to what I would have been in San Diego. I don't even know how many hours that is, but I would probably have to fly, because one thing I'm not going to do, I'm not going to drive. But I would have been further if I did get a job in San Diego. And honestly, being so close to my family and friends has been amazing, because these past few years, I've needed their support. I've needed to go home to the Bay Area to just be in their presence. And I'm not going to lie, I have had so many breakthroughs, mindset shifts since my time in Fresno that I really believe are getting me closer and closer to my higher self. And 1000% that wouldn't have happened if I didn't come here. So yeah, San Diego was what I wanted. But in the end, I needed to end up in Fresno. And so using that example, I share that example because that has helped me see that's possible in my love life too. That what I may want is not what I deserve. Sometimes what you want, sometimes what you envision, you're not going to get that because you deserve better. God, the universe, whatever higher power you believe in, will present you with what you need at that moment in your journey. Looking back at what I have now, the abundant mindset of I have so much time to find a partner, I'm on my own time and no one else is. I truly believe that another great man will come around when the time is right. And now we are coming to the end of the episode. And before I go, I do want to say thank y'all for listening to this episode, taking time out of your day to listen to this episode. But really, thank you for giving me the space to share my journey with grief following this breakup. Embrace Your Evolution is truly like my digital diary. So recording this episode was in a way really therapeutic. Like being able to talk about the growth I've experienced and share with y'all the process. I am feeling proud. I am feeling more empowered. I am feeling grateful. Just all the freaking things. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And wow, I'm just so much growth has happened, and woo, we freaking love it here. Thank you so much for tuning in to Embrace Her Evolution. If you loved this episode, or maybe you have a few more questions, feel free to hit me up about it. I have my email in the episode description. And while you're there, make sure you sign up for my email list. This will keep you up to date on everything Embrace Her Evolution. Plus, it will give you access to some free worksheets. Right now, I'm offering a jealousy map worksheet. I talk about this in episode 3. So if you haven't listened to it, go listen to it now. It will help you use the feeling of jealousy as a map to your desires. I truly believe a way to embrace your evolution is by sitting by yourself and doing reflection, and these worksheets will help you get started. Once again, you can find a link to that in the episode description. You'll also find my Instagram there. I love connecting with people, so make sure you give me a follow. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you for allowing me to be a part of your evolution.